I'll explain the four different categories of personalities. First, there's the analysts, and they're intuitive and thinking people. There's diplomats, and they're intuitive and feeling, and there's what's called sentinels, which are observant and judging. And there's great strengths and weaknesses for all of these. So don't look at the name of it and judge that. Then there's explorers, who are observant and prospecting. So I went from being, as a type A personality, type A personalities are in the analyst. So when I did the 16 personality test, I came out my first time as a commander, which was, I didn't like the title of it. Any way, shape, or form, I did not like the title of it. But I have gone from being in the analyst, and I have to put my glasses on to do this, but I'm going to read what it says about the analysts. Personality types embrace rationality, excel in intellectual debates and scientific or technological fields. Well, I'm not really that great at technological fields, but they are fiercely independent, absolutely, open-minded, strong-willed, and imaginative, approaching many things from an ulterior perspective, and being far more interested in what works than what satisfies everyone. These traits make analysts excellent strategic thinkers, but also cause difficulties when it comes to social or romantic pursuits. See, I told you there's positives and negatives to everything. I have moved into the category of diplomats. So diplomats are intuitive and feeling. And the last two personalities I've come up with, because there's like 4 different personalities that fall into diplomats. But diplomats focus on empathy and cooperation, shining in diplomacy and counseling. People belonging to these type groups are cooperative and imaginative, often playing the role of harmonizers in their workplace or social circles. These traits make diplomats warm, empathetic, and influential individuals, but also cause issues when there is a need to rely exclusively on cold rationality or make difficult decisions. So, as I said, positives and negatives to everything. So I have moved from, I'll tell you what my personalities were. I started out as a commander, which has the letters ENTJ A. A at the end of, there's A and a T you can end up with at the end of your personality type. A are assertive and T are turbulent. So I at the end of each of mine, I get an A. So I end up in the assertive realm. The next one was a protagonist, and that's an ENFJA. And then now I am the campaigner, which is an ENFPA. So when you go through the 16 personalities, what it's going to do for you is show you where you rank in these different realms. They test for mind, and again, I got to put the glasses on. I got to read this to you, and it's too small. Mind, this trait determines how you interact with your environment. So in mine, I have my percentages for going from protagonist to campaigner. I don't have my percentages when I was a commander, so I can't show you the difference. But going from protagonist to commander for me in the mind end, as a protagonist, I was 78% extroverted and 22% introverted. So mind, it's your extroverted, introverted part. When I moved to campaigner, I am 84% extroverted and 22% introverted, which I found fascinating. Then the next area that they kind of judge by the questions that they ask you is energy. It shows where you direct your mental energy. So are you intuitive? Are you observant? So as a protagonist, I was 57% intuitive and 43% observant. And I moved as a campaigner to 70% intuitive and 30% observant. The next is nature, and it's thinking and feeling. How you make decisions and cope with emotions. So, do you make your decisions more on the thinking end? Do you make your decisions more on the feeling side? Obviously, someone like my husband who's green, thinking would be more prominent in his. For mine, I ended up with, as a protagonist, 66% feeling and 34% thinking. And as a campaigner, I am now 76% feeling and 24% thinking. So I'm hoping that kind of means that I make decisions from the heart more than anything else, which I find awesome. Then there's the other thing is tactics. These traits reflect our approach to work, planning, and decision making. So I went from being in this, it's judging and prospecting. So your perspective on things. I went from 68% judging, which I don't like that word, to 48% judging. So I'm almost balanced on this one. So I moved to 52% prospecting. So I'm kind of balanced on the tactics. So I guess I make my decisions a little more balanced even. I'm not one way or the other. What it says on here is because I do lean a little more towards, I did lean a little more towards judging. So when I printed this one out, I was 68% judging. I'm now 48%. It says judging individuals are decisive, thorough, and highly organized. They value clarity, perceptibility, and closure, preferring structure and planning to spontaneity. I don't have what it says if your percentage leans the other way. Individuality is the other thing that they are working on, and that's where you get the assertive and turbulent. It says this trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. So I went from 90% assertive to 92% assertive. I used to be 10% turbulent, and I'm now 8%. So I'm getting less turbulent, which is kind of cool. So assertive individuals are self-assured, even-tempered, resistant to stress. They refuse to worry too much. I don't worry about anything. Do not push themselves too hard when it comes to achieving goals. Well, that's actually not true. See, my type A personality hasn't let go on that one, because when I have a goal, I push for it. So I'm not really sure how that all balances out. But yeah, goals, forget it. If I have something I have to accomplish, give me a challenge, give me a goal, and I'm going there. Which is, I was thinking the other day, when my children were young, I stayed home and I did not work, except I did a few things part-time, but for the most part, I did not work. I did anything I could to stay home with my children, and thank the Lord my husband had an awesome job, which allowed me that privilege. I had to do a few things for myself to just have something to do, but a lot of times I volunteered somewhere, some way, and I was always given the tasks of planning things because I would always get everything done in time. I would get it done. No one had to worry about whether it ever got done. I still have people who call me up when they have a project, an event, who want me to help them get that done because they know if they give it to me to do, it's going to get done. So that part, I'm not sure. If you give me a goal, I'm going for it. I'll find a way, doesn't matter, somehow, some way. But it is fun to do these personality tests. It helps you if you want to improve yourself. Anybody that's doing personal development is going to see changes in their personality.